Watch it!
Get your knee out of my face!
My shoes has God, you stink.
I have a lot of nostalgia for Army Man RTS. It was made by Pandemic Studios, the team responsible for the beloved Star Wars Battlefront games. No, the old ones. It's among the last games published by 3DO before their bankruptcy. They made and funded a few things that I played over the years. Why are they gone? Well, this game might be a good example why. Army Man RTS features the iconic green and tan plastic men of my youth. I actually played this game on GameCube back in the day, but today's is the PC version, which takes a little bit to get running properly for me. The highest 16:9 resolution native to the game is 720p, so to solve this you have to use DG Voodoo Wrapper to force it to your preferred resolution. You can also use a high-res texture pack made by an artificial intelligence, but I don't trust the machines, and I leave my textures alone. It also helps remind me what this game actually looks like. Beyond a few other port-specific problems, Army Man RTS is incredibly stable without any crashes during my playtime, a testament to an otherwise competent development team. The setting is the average middle-class home of the early 2000s, but from the eyes of a small green army man. The sense of scale is constantly being reinforced by the use of household objects as in-game resources, construction material in buildings, or as set pieces. Additionally, each building has their own animations when performing a task. Army Man RTS absolutely nails the aesthetic it's aiming for with these minor details, like how each unit and building melts into plastic upon their destruction. Technically though, it is dated. Textures are low res, every explosion uses the same visual effect, and many of the unit models are ill-defined due to an overload of green or tan, so while it fits the aesthetic well, it isn't exactly appealing to look at. Also, why is only Vicky not green? I mean, she has green hair and clothes, but she has white skin. Is she an albino action figure? Nah, it's probably because this game was marketed towards teenage boys. On a last note for the visuals, the UI is utilitarian, but it functions. The minimap is in the bottom right, and production buildings are selectable from the bar in the bottom left. It's handy to quickly pump out units without having to move the camera back to your base constantly, which I still did sometimes because I'm a fool. The sound is a bit of a low point. There's a lot of stock sound effect work that I noticed, and probably more that I didn't.
I see him! Advancing!
Much of the music is mundane if fitting. Nothing stands out to me other than the main theme. As a result, the voice acting work stands apart from the lackluster soundscape. It prominently features in the cutscenes that play before and after campaign missions. My major complaint with these cutscenes has to do with their audio mixing. The music is far too loud in the mix, and I often have a hard time hearing what any character is saying.
Gonna have to reach the top of the stairs before we can re-establish contact.
Well, that shouldn't be too hard. The place is dead.
Yep. Dead.
It reminds me of something that I would make. 3DO somehow had the money for Jim Cummings to voice Sarge and like half the cast.
Welcome to the attic, Sarge. This is Tan Country. Deep behind enemy lines. Intersect them. Belly of the beast, where few have entered and even fewer have...
Got some interference, Colonel. I'm losing you.
Right. Sorry, I'll be brief. There's a train carrying supplies into Blitz's compound. Sabotage the bridge and stop it.
Blow up the bridge. Got it. Over and out. He's a good guy. Just a little verbose.
I can't unhear Winnie the Pooh and Tigger while playing. Maybe that's part of why I felt so oddly drawn to this game as a child. All the heroes and units have their own distinct callouts.
Lead the way.
They light up the nostalgic part of my brain that contains the StarCraft SCV callouts and are helpful to confirm what unit you are selecting.
SCV good to go, sir.
The voice actors go uncredited, and whoever voices Vicky is left out of the credits. Which is a shame because whoever did the Marlon Brando impression makes me laugh, and the Vicky thing is kind of a dick move.
We are the hollow men, playthings of the giant fingers. They pose us, abuse us, make us carry on their mad show. Do you understand, Sergeant Hawk?
Alright, now is as good a time as any to address the elephant in the room, which is the gameplay. Army Man RTS is among the poorer quality RTS games that I have played. Part of it stems from the fact that this game was clearly designed with consoles in mind. For example, if I want to select units, I have to left click them, or left click and drag to make a box around them. To tell them where to go, I have to left click again. Most of you will be giving your screens a funny look by now, because that should be the right mouse button's job, but the right mouse is for deselecting units, which sometimes doesn't work. More than once I had deselected a unit only to accidentally give it move orders to somewhere I didn't want. This control scheme would work fine on a controller because it would simplify selection and movement to one button. But on PC, it's incredibly awkward to interact with and goes against RTS convention in a bad way. What really sucks is you're unable to rebind any of the keys. So have fun using the arrow keys to control the camera for the entire campaign. Additionally, there's no way to rotate the camera, and the camera does not zoom out far enough, in my opinion. I often can't fit my larger armies all on the same screen. There is a considerable amount of unit variety. There are different infantry and vehicles that follow a rock, paper, scissors format when fighting each other. Helicopters beat tanks, tanks beat infantry, and infantry beat helicopters. Each unit is specialized and some cannot target others. Snipers are god tier against infantry, but they can't fight vehicles. Tanks are great against everything, but they cannot target helicopters. It takes a bit to learn, but there is some room for experimentation as far as army compositions go. You additionally have heroes which can be more powerful versions of base infantry. For example, Riff is a better bazooka man. Bullseye is a more powerful sniper. But then we have Scorch. I don't think I need to explain what he does. The problem I have with the variety of units available is that your enemies have the exact same units, meaning that every single mission in this game's 15 mission campaign is a mirror match. Some of these missions mix it up by being types of survival missions, where you have to complete a level with only a set amount of units. And there is that escort mission. But the majority of levels are normally centered on building your own base and completing an objective. They usually range from blowing up a target to capturing an enemy base. Building those bases and units is all done through gathering resources, more specifically plastic and electricity. These are acquired through items like VHS tapes and batteries found throughout the environment. Plastic has the added bonus of being salvageable from the dead corpses of your soldiers. However, resources will run out, causing your dump trucks to wander farther in search of more. This causes your supply lines to increase, necessitating the need to build more trucks or move your processing station. Frankly, I think the resources run out too quick in the majority of the maps. Units, upgrades, and powers like a weapon damage increase are introduced as you progress through the campaign. You start with only a handful of grunts, but by the end you are dropping paratroopers and bombs. All of these things don't sound bad in principle, but I've yet to talk about the pathfinding. Army Man RTS has some of the worst pathfinding I've seen in a very long time. Units don't seem to communicate with each other at all, instead trying to move to a destination all at once. They constantly get in the way of one another. Units will refuse to move if they're also on a move order, or if they are attacking something. It's almost comical to see my tank desperately trying to reach combat only to be held back by a blockade of infantry on all sides. You can put your units into smaller squads with control and the number keys, but there are no formations to be had, so this is only a marginal improvement. Honestly, it takes far more micro than should be necessary to play this game sometimes. The enemy AI can range from being fairly mild to a considerable challenge as the missions go by. Most of the challenge comes from your enemy usually having built a base before you, giving them a slight time advantage over you, because otherwise the difficulty is fairly low if you spam medics and out-heal the incoming damage. All of this combined results in Army Man RTS's gameplay feeling pretty subpar, especially when compared to its contemporaries like Age of Mythology, Warcraft 3, Impossible Creatures, and even freaking Empire Earth. By now, you are probably wondering why I have been talking so much about the campaign. Isn't there more to Army Man RTS? No, there isn't. There's no proper skirmish mode. The closest thing is the Great Battles mode, which lets you replay campaign maps with new objectives. But otherwise, once you finish the campaign, there's no more game. The only incentive to replaying the campaign is to get a better medal, which may unlock a great battle. There is a multiplayer mode, and while you could theoretically get a LAN game going, the multiplayer servers were shuttered when GameSpy died. I feel like that's beginning to become an accidental bit on this show. There is a mod to the multiplayer to insert AI opponents, but I didn't learn about it until editing. But it is there if you're hankering for skirmish. The story is a retelling of Apocalypse Now that is aimed at older children and young teens. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure that was the best audience to target. In any case, Colonel Blintz's head injury left a lasting impression to a young me.
Medics did what they could, but he sustained a massive, disfiguring head wound. Disfiguring? He lost his mind.
The story follows Sergeant Hawk and his squad as they perform different missions to infiltrate enemy territory and hunt Colonel Blintz down. All the campaign missions have clever names like Full Plastic Jacket and Behind the Tan Curtain. Army Man RTS took me about 8-ish hours to complete, so it is a bit of a time sink. Some of the missions can be surprisingly difficult. Like that escort mission! The final boss was too difficult to win in a straight out fight, so I had to cheese it by dropping bombs. The game ends with Blitz returning to his tent, muttering the horror, while Sarge beats the snot out of him. The Green General calls you home, saying that there's cake and ice cream for everyone. Hooray? Oh yeah, spoilers in case you're raring to play this 20-year-old game you've probably played before. To wrap it up, I don't think that Army Man RTS has aged particularly well. In fact, it might have not been a good game to begin with. I had a lot of nostalgia coming in, but I leave feeling a bit disappointed. Army Man RTS isn't that fun to play after about 6 missions in. It's honestly not something I'd recommend to anyone who hasn't played it in the past. For those who want to hit nostalgia, I would recommend waiting for a sale. While it's fairly cheap at $6, its sale price is $1.50. Army Man RTS is a bit of a blemish on Pandemic's reputation for me. It honestly makes me want to go back and play some of their other games I never got a chance to play, including the one that killed the studio. Thanks for watching.
Well, I guess this is the end of the line.